Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. So it seems like Oklahoma has rejected a lawsuit for reparations from the 1921 Tulsa race massacre. We're going to go straight to it because I want to discuss kind of what the lawsuit entail, as the article suggests, but I also want to give you a reason why it was a long shot, and also why really we shouldn't be relying on any kind of reparations. Well, I'll say this: we need reparations. We should get reparations, and like I always said, if they're gonna give it, I'll be first in line to receive it, because yes, I do believe that as a people, we should get some form of compensation, monetary compensation, tax breaks, which I'm gonna hopefully break that down in a separate video on the way how these tax laws have really like destroyed our community as a whole, keeping us to the help. Part of the issues that help keep us, our people, in the condition that we're in. We go to tax laws, and go to redlining, housing discrimination, all that good stuff. But like I said, another video. But anyway, let's get into this. Like I said, this is from theguardian.com, and it reads, "Judge rejects reparations for Tulsa race massacre in, quote, sad miscarriage of justice." An Oklahoma judge has thrown out a lawsuit seeking reparations for the 1921 Tulsa race massacre, dashing any effort to obtain some measure of legal justice for elderly survivors. The judge, Caroline Wall, on Friday dismissed with prejudice the lawsuit, which attempted to force the city and others to make recompense for the destruction of Greenwood, a once thriving Black district. The case involved 3 survivors of the attack, all now over 100 years old, and who sued in 2020 in the hope of seeing what their attorney called justice in their lifetime. Now, I think one of the things that stands out is, number one, you gotta look at the date. It was 1921, 102 years ago. I think the lawsuit was filed in 2020, as it said. So, and these people are like well over 100 years old. Now, I'm hoping that they weren't looking for money for themselves, like $1 million. I think they actually filed like $1 million lawsuits and it got denied. Because I mean, let's just be honest, you're over 100 years old. People, they're gonna be looking like, what are you gonna do with the money? So people are probably looking at this like there's a scam involved. I mean, ain't you got like Ben Crump as one of the lawyers? So anyway, we'll get into something else. We'll get into that later. Spokespeople for the city and a lawyer for the survivors, allegedly Benonfield, Randall, Viola Fletcher, and Hughes Van Ellis, did not immediately comment. Wall, a Tulsa County District Court judge, wrote in a brief order that she was tossing the case based on arguments from the city, the Regional Chamber of Commerce, and other state and local government agencies. Last year, she ruled against the defendants' motions to dismiss and allowed the case to proceed. So the question is, what were the arguments that caused this judge to say we're just going to throw it out with prejudice, which means they cannot bring it back up again in her court, which is interesting. Judicial elections in Oklahoma are technically nonpartisan, but Wall has described herself as a constitutional conservative in campaign questionnaire. So, now we're going to start talking about this Republican and right-wing stuff. But again, it doesn't matter if they're Republican, Democrat, left-wing, right-wing. They're all part of the same bird. The lawsuit was brought under Oklahoma's public nuisance law, which in 2019 was used by the same attorney general to force the drug maker Johnson & Johnson to pay $465 million in damages over the opioid epidemic. The Oklahoma Supreme Court overturned that decision 2 years later. So that let you know right there, Oklahoma ain't trying to pay no money, and that's probably what the whole basis of it is you give this money to these people, they're not going to spend it. So it's really going to other people, and who knows what the other people going to do. It's just not, it's just, there's something in there. There's something in this lawsuit that we don't know is the reason why that they dismissed the case. But hopefully in the near future, it'll be reviewed. It has to be reviewed. It should, a matter of fact, it should be out now, but I don't see anything. I don't see anything about it. The Tulsa Race Massacre suit and said the actions of the white mob that killed hundreds of black residents and destroyed what had been the most prosperous black business district in the U.S. continue to affect the city today. So here's what I'm gonna say about that. Do I think that the massacre is affecting the black community in Tulsa till this day? Somewhat, but not as much as they're trying to paint it. I believe that it's just, pure just hatred, racism, bigotry, whatever. That's what's keeping it down. I never lived in Tulsa, but I have been to Tulsa. I know people who lived there for years, and people who have came from other parts of the country went to live in Tulsa, and they said it's like when they got there, it was just, backwards. They couldn't understand the thought process of a lot of the black community there, that a lot of them they just don't have any kind of get up and go, content with where they're living and not trying to do better in their lives. And this was a professional person, this is not somebody who, uppity said this is a person who, did not grow up with a silver spoon in their mouth or nothing. So it's just that this is what they saw compared to where they're from, which was the Midwest. Even when I went there, I could see how there are things that are systematically in place in that city that I know of. Number one, I knew about the Tulsa Massacre back in the early to mid 90s, like 93, 92, 93, I knew about it. Saw a whole movie about it, a documentary about it. There are people not up until maybe a couple of years ago who actually were born and raised in Tulsa, knew nothing about it. I was surprised when I talked to people about that, and they didn't know anything about it. Like, how you don't know nothing about it, and it happened in your town? But to be the devil's advocate, there are, I believe, here, like in Dallas, there was a burning of actually lynching of black people, about 100 years ago, when somebody blamed black folks for breaking in a store and stealing some stuff, I believe, and they just went and started finding black folks and burning them, hanging them, killing them, stuff like that. But this thing here, this is much bigger. This is like a whole section of town being burnt down. But it was so much of it happening in the past in all parts of the country. Nobody wants to talk about it. I know where my mom is from, a little town in Arkansas. She said there was a kind of a similar thing back then where this black dude supposedly did something to a white dude, and they went and started hanging and lynching and finding black people, trying to find this man, thinking that they harboring this dude, and think about 20-something people were killed. But like my mom said, nobody talked about it. And till this day, no one talks about it. My mom said she didn't even know about it till like somebody had mentioned it. So I can understand that to that point. But again, like I said, it just kind of amazed me that someone outside of that city, if it was public knowledge, somebody outside of Tulsa, myself, knew about it, decades before people who lived there, who grew up in there, knew about it. So let's go back. So yeah, I don't think that massacre is really affecting the people there, and I'm gonna show you why here in a second. Let's keep going. It continued that Tulsa's long history of racial division and tension stemmed from the massacre. I don't think it stemmed from the massacres before then, because you don't just burn stuff and then people start saying, oh, we hate black people now. Now, come on now. We're talking about the early 1900s. During which a mob descended on a 35-block area, looting, killing, and burning. Thousands were left homeless, living in a hastily constructed camp. The city and insurance companies never compensated victims, and the massacre ultimately resulted in a racial and economic disparities that still exist today, the lawsuit argued. And that right there, again, that's a point that's not accurate. And again, I'm gonna show you here in a second about what I mean by that. It sought a detailed accounting of property and wealth lost or stolen, the construction of a hospital, and the creation of a compensation fund, among other measures. Now, I will say this: it did destroy a lot of. It was devastating. I will say this: destroyed pretty much the whole black side of Tulsa. People did move. People did die. People were homeless. People like moved to other parts of the country, never to come back. But a lot of people stayed. And again, I'll explain to you what I mean. I'm gonna put it all together here in a second. A Chamber of Commerce attorney previously said that the massacre was horrible, but the nuisance it caused was not ongoing. Pay attention to that sentence. Fletcher, at 109, the oldest living survivor, is set to release a memoir next month. Responding to Judge Wall's decision, the renowned civil rights attorney Ben Crump, layman, a quote-unquote sad miscarriage of justice, Bishop Talbot Swan of the Vermont Ecclesiastical Jurisdiction, said, America has $70 billion for Ukrainians in conflict with Russia, but $0 for black people murdered, brutalized, and dehumanized by white Americans. No, exactly, because there's no law stating or even addressing racism. It just ain't it just really, you got the hate crime bill, but how often do they use that, especially for black people? What was that? The white lady that shot the sister through the door, it's like she been calling them N-words for the longest, so I think she had threatened him even before then, but there's no hate crime bill. Come on now. Lawsuit dismissal came a day after Ryan Walters in Oklahoma's Republican superintendent of public instruction said teachers should not say that the skin color determined what happened in the Tulsa race massacre. Gosh. Okay, so what should they say, Mr. Walters? They should just say that people are inherently evil? Yes. But this was race-based. No matter how you want to put it, what it is he doesn't want people to know about racism. He wants everyone to move on. But my thing is, see, for everybody else in life catches up to them. You make bad decisions, you make bad choices, you cause damage, you cause harm. Eventually, it's going to come back to you. But these people do not want they do not want to pay what they owe. It say Walters, who has advocated against the teaching of racism in U.S. history, was asked at a public forum in Norman, Oklahoma, how the massacre could not fall under his interpretation of critical race theory, an academic discipline that examines the way in which racism operates in U.S. laws and society, which Republicans across the U.S. have turned into a profitable political boogerbear. Who wrote this? This is an opinion. Walter said, I would never tell a kid that because of your race, because of your color, your skin, or your gender, anything like that, you are less of a person or inherently racist. You may not say that, but then people that burnt down the Greenwood district of Wall Street, they can say that because they showed it. They said that doesn't mean you don't judge the actions of individuals. Oh, you can, absolutely. Historically, you should. This was right, this was wrong. They did this for that reason. Exactly. They did do it for that reason, but anyway. Let's see, let me scroll down. Okay, that's about pretty much it, but to say that it was inherent in that, it was inherent, man. Because of their skins, where I say it is critical race theory. That's not critical race theory, that is true. See, y'all just trying to act like people just don't hate black people. They did. They did for, it was like let's just don't, okay, let's say they didn't hate him, but it was some form of jealousy. You didn't have to burn down a whole day. Where do you go now? So let's say right now. So let's say if a person escapes from jail, they do it all the time. You know, white people, black people, Hispanic, they do it all the time. Somebody commits a crime and goes to jail, right? And let's just say somehow they get bond, like escape or get a post bail, get bond, whatever you call it, and they go back home. How many times do you see now that people go to those neighborhoods and bond the whole neighborhood looking for that one person? Like seriously. And from all the stories I hear, I don't know if they even found a guy. I mean, I can't remember. I mean, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But you just destroy the whole side of town, north side of town, for what? You're not making sense. And he didn't, like, and the stories go from he whistled at the woman, he touched the woman, he grabbed the woman, he spoke to the woman, the brother, in the elevator. You know, he tried to kiss. It's like the story changes every time you read a different article. But what we do know is that he didn't hurt the woman physically. He didn't cuss her out, he didn't yell at her. He did nothing that warranted what was done to an entire side of town. And that's what, but like they say, you can't prove that someone is racist. You can't prove someone did that over racist intent. And that's what they've been banking on all these years. You can't say, all you can say is, oh, it was just a crime. We don't know if it was because they were black. They were just angry. Okay, so how many of these white towns have we seen get burnt down because some white boy looked at, you know, a little white girl wrong? So we know that someone would touch him. So, or maybe he did something to a little, you know, to a black girl. I don't see y'all burn down his town, you know, or his trailer park, you know, looking for him, whatever. So what the heck so I don't understand what you're talking about. But anyway, I mean, I can go on a rant, you know I will. So, but let me get back to what I was tying everything up with at first. This whole reparations lawsuit, like I said in the beginning, it was dismissed because, what was that statement? A Chamber of Commerce attorney previously said the massacre was horrible, but the nuisance it caused was not ongoing. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah, I think that's what it was. And the thing about it is, what happened after the massacre, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. You need to read this book here by Hannibal B. Johnson, The Black Wall Street from Rise to Renaissance in Tulsa's Historic Greenwood District. Because this book here tells you that after all that happened in 1921, that around about the time the 40s and the 50s hit, Black Wall Street was rebuilt. And they'll say bigger and better than ever. Matter of fact, let me just read a couple of excerpts for you so you can understand what I'm saying. So y'all don't think I'm just making this stuff up and trying to side with the white man. This is this book written by a brother. Let's see, I'm going to page, let me start with, I'm gonna go to 99. Yeah, start at page 99, okay? I'm gonna read this real quick. It says, Sam and Lucy Mackey's white frame dream house was one of the more than 1,000 homes destroyed in the riot. The Mackeys built the house in 1915 after mortgaging their house at 356 North Greenwood Avenue. In 1926, with the support of an employer, now that's one thing that we do got to realize. A lot of times, black folks, again, could not get houses. So how would they do it? They work for a white man, a white company. And let's just say, grew a fondness of his little black worker. And knowing that his black worker got a family, wife, kids, brother want a house to raise his family. White man would say, you know what I do? I'll take out a loan to get that house and you just pay me back. That's how a lot of black families back in the day got houses across the country. They got it through an employer. And then they bought the house from them. And I mean, I don't know how successful that was, but undoubtedly it was successful in this book, and it was successful in another book that I had just read. I just read. Okay, so and again, 1926, with the support of an employer, the couple mortgaged their property for $6,500 to the Oklahoma City Building and Loan Association. No Tulsa bank or lending institution would make loans in the riot-marred Greenwood district. The Mackeys built a new red brick fireproof home. The builders used no wood framing in its construction. In the 1930s, the Mackeys paid off their mortgage on the house and borrowed $9,000 from C.A. Hereford to make home improvements. The house remained in the Mackey family until purchased by the Tulsa Urban Renewal Authority in the 1970s. Substantially restored, it is now the Mabel B. Little Heritage House. So that tells you right there, that's one of the many stories, some of the prosperous stories. I'm gonna read one more little excerpt, and then to tie it all in. It says, this is on page 102, World War II and the precipitous upturn in demand for war-related goods generated so-called quote-unquote war industries. That brought even more prosperity to Tulsa. An African American business directory listed more than 400 businesses in the Greenwood district in early 1940s. 20 years. Now, again, no insurance company paid out. No claims. It said one, not sure who it was, doesn't matter. The government didn't pay them. Brothers and sisters had to do it on their own. And they did it on their own. Riot survivor Juanita Alexander Lewis Hopkins recalled Greenwood's glory days with nostalgia. Oh, what a history Tulsa has. When Greenwood was in its heyday, there were 10 black hotels in the Archer Greenwood area, numerous drugstores, grocery stores, cleaners, shoe shops, millinery and dress shops, tailor shops, pool halls, theaters, funeral homes, doctors and lawyers' offices, restaurants, and schools in the area. There were unskilled, semi-skilled, and professional people coexisting side by side, barbers and hairdressers, businessmen and professionals, and black policemen, including my father, C.J. Alexander, who was one of Tulsa's first black policemen. There were mostly good people, but there were some underworld characters too, mainly bootleggers and numbers runners. There were cultivated, sophisticated black people. There were working class, salt of the earth people. And there were a few eccentrics and quote unquote crazy people. So basically what this is saying, and I don't know if you can see this, can't believe I showed this in no dang camera, but this is a picture of the Greenwood district in 1938. And here's another picture of a drugstore in 1945. So basically what I'm saying is this. Do I feel they owe us reparations? Yes. Am I going to hold my breath before they give it to us? No, because I can't trust it. I don't believe it. They're going to find every reason in the world why not to give it to us. Hell, I already did a video showing y'all how there's a bill already in the Congress that said that if anybody gives reparations to any descendants of slaves, y'all ain't get no federal funding. The governments will not get federal funding. So what does that tell you? They gonna do everything in their power to keep descendants of slaves or financial black Americans from getting any money. But my point is this. We can do it ourselves. If they could do it back then in the 40s and 50s, we got more technology. We got more ways to see how to do things, how to create. We can see how what happened. It's easier for us to see how things happened in the past and to not make those same mistakes or to not go through those same things. If we can't do it now, man, I don't know when we will. Everything is right there. I myself read books. I read, what is this? Acres of Aspiration. You know, this talks about all the black towns in Oklahoma. The color of money, you know what I'm saying, the black racial gap. I got another book about the whiteness of wealth. I'm reading right now. Well, no, I just finished reading. Talk about the tax codes and stuff and how it's hurting us. You read, you gotta know your enemy. You gotta understand the world around you. You gotta soak in the information so that you can make a plan and act on it. If you get out here just hiring Big Crump to come file a lawsuit for you and you don't know what the heck he's talking about or what the heck you doing, this man is just doing it for his own benefit. You know dang on well that you can't sit there and say that this ride is the reason why that North Tulsa is the way it is when it comes to black community. Look here. North Tulsa, that side of Tulsa where most black people live, have no bus line. Now, here in Texas, in Dallas, the bus line pretty much mainly runs in the inner city. But like in the suburbs and stuff like that, nah, they don't run. Nah, it may have you making like get a transit bus or what have you to take you to some of the suburbs. But there are no bus lines in most of the suburbs. But if there are, you're gonna find low income housing somewhere. You're gonna find a crime rate that's a little bit higher than other parts of the suburbs. It just is what it is. But anyway, on that side in Tulsa, there's no bus line in the black community. How is this possible? But your businesses are all on the other side of town. So in order for you to get a job and go to work, you best to have a car. You better have some kind of transportation to get you to and from to make money. If not, you'll be stuck in your community, probably trying to sell drugs, rob people, work in the stroll or whatever, or got your own, trying to get or your own business. But it just doesn't work that way to where they can become prosperous. It's 2023, man. Ain't nothing got better. I mean, they got the Black History Museum. I mean, the Tulsa Black Wall Street Museum, Greenwood, in the Greenwood area. But other than that, I mean, I think they talking about, they didn't have I said the last time I've been to Tulsa maybe like 3-4 years ago. And they didn't even have a grocery store. They didn't have a bus route. They didn't have a grocery store. I think they built one within the past couple of years, but they didn't have neither one of those. How can your community survive and thrive without transportation and somewhere to get good, nutritious food? It just ain't gonna happen. It just ain't gonna happen. I don't know how they survive. I don't know how they do it. But you know, we as a people, we do figure out a way to make things happen. So hats off to them. But yeah, I agree. Like I said, no, that Tulsa thing, I mean, that ride, that ain't why Tulsa is still the way it is now. But again, I don't think Ben Crump understands how Oklahoma is. I really don't. But he's going to be one of the reasons why that, you know, black people ain't going to be able to get the reparations that's owed. Which, back to my point, we can do it ourselves. We can do it ourselves. They rebuilt Tulsa with no help from no government funding. They took advantage. Like I say, say like World War II, you know, needed workers or needed supplies, stuff like that. And black folks learn how to come up on that. That's how it's going to be done. That's how it's going to be done. Got to find a niche. Can't be out here trying to get some Bitcoin, you know, and trying to think we're going to get rich off of that. Nah, it's too late for that. They caught you like that a couple years ago. Pretty soon it's going to be another hustle to where they're going to get black folks in. And then, there was the next thing, the truck driving. You know, they got a whole bunch of black people in the truck driving, and now they don't need it no more. So a lot of people got these trucks. They just got to go back. They got to send back. Got to close their businesses down because it's just another hustle. So here we go. So who knows what the next one's going to be? But anyway, that's all I got for this story, man. Hey, we can do it. We can do it ourselves. Start in the home, read, educate yourself, and then link up with people who are trying to make things happen and things that happen with or without the government system. Anyway, with that being said, tell me what you think. Leave your comments below and then share it with the world. With that being said, I leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.